Welcome to the Hastings Shadmehry Show with your hosts, Andee Hastings and Mali Shadmehry. Dive into the heart of family law as Andee and Mali bring clarity to legal challenges, celebrate client victories, and share the wisdom of their combined expertise. Get ready for a journey into empowerment and advocacy right here where your story matters.
Hello, and welcome to the Hastings Shadmehry Show, where we delve into the heart of family law and the stories that shape our lives. I'm Mali Shadmehry, and joining me is my partner in crime, Andee Hastings. How are you, Andee?
I'm great, Mali. How are you today, more importantly?
It's just one of those days where I am all over the place, doing a million things all at once, dropping everything, and so you're in for a fun one.
I love this, Mali. I can't even tell you how excited I am that everyone else gets to see it. It's so fun.
Just a goofy day. So, okay, the question everybody knows I'm going to ask, are you a warrior or a diplomat today?
I would say I'm a diplomat today.
Okay.
I'm feeling, we're always ready for battle when necessary, but we've just had a lot of people lately who really need a soft touch, at least at first. Give everybody a chance to make the right decision, and then if they don't, you deal with them accordingly. And so I'm feeling like a diplomat, wanting to help people work through their issues in a way that reduces as much conflict as possible. But if conflict comes to us, then we do what we have to do. How about you?
I just have to say warrior, as usual. As usual. I have clients that have some really unfair things going on in their cases, children being kept from them very inappropriately. And let me tell you, Mama Bear is here ready to go, ready to fight, and ready to just shut that down. When I had a client in here, I guess it was yesterday, meeting with me for the first time, and he was tearful, and he was so scared, and he was an overthinker like I am, and I just so could relate to that. And when I could just see and feel the pain in him, after hearing what was going on, yeah, I'm pretty worked up. I told him, you're part of the wolf pack now. You're safe. And when the wolf is ready, she's going to go hard. And I told him, you walked into this office, you walked into a safe space. This is our space. Nobody gets to come in here unless they're invited. And that's earned. So that's my mindset. Is that scary?
I love it.
So we have some fun stuff planned for y'all today. We're going to do a little story segment where we're going to tell you some fun trial stories. Oh my God, they're weird. We have some weird ones. And then we're going to talk about our topic, which is dating, specifically dating after a divorce. We have some interesting insight there and things that are actually going to pertain to you if you're in a divorce as well. Some interesting things to think about. So, where do we begin for story time, Andee?
I think we begin at the end, which is what happens. We have people going through a divorce, and I don't know if you've experienced this, but some people swear they're never going to date again.
Okay, but before we talk about dating, we're telling trial stories.
I'm sorry. This is our day.
Look, Andee and I planned this out, and then
Mally's like, Andee, no.
Trial stories.
Okay. So,
where should we start?
Have you ever had someone who practices witchcraft as a party in a case? No?
I do. I've had it.
Tell us all about it.
It's such a weird one. Okay. It was a divorce trial that I had, and the lady believed in voodoo and practiced voodoo, and more power to her, and anyone else do what you would like to do. But she did. And there were some very weird facts in the case, just in general. And what the evidence showed at trial was she would do things like hire a hitman to try to have my client killed, spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on plastic surgery through her business, put it on the business, would get angry at him and slam her car into his while they were driving down the highway to try to run him off the road. Okay. Normal divorce for us. All right. Got it. I can't remember how much their estate was worth, probably a few million. And it's my turn to cross-examine her, which is my favorite part of trial. And I'm like, okay, this maybe this is a while ago. I was probably practicing a couple years at this point. And I'm like, this is awesome. I can't wait to cross-examine her. Well, slightly prior to me cross-examining her, I had been in the bathroom in the courthouse, like out in the hallway. And I see there's like crushed up garlic, just raw garlic in the sink. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to go back to court. There's garlic in the bathroom, whatever. So I sit down and I'm just waiting for the Judge Dickinson, to say it's my turn. And I'm like, okay. And as I'm sitting there, I look over where the lady's sitting that I'm going to cross-examine, the wife. And I'm like, I see like 15 bulbs of garlic like laid out on the floor in a perfect horizontal row where she was sitting beside her lawyer. Lawyer's sitting by her, and I'm just sitting there like, huh? So she walks up to the stand, and she, people usually don't like a lawyer when we're going to cross-examine them. But believe it or not, we're there to just do a job and talk about what we think the evidence shows. And the more defensive you are, the more you're not going to look good. So that's what immediately, as soon as she sat down, she's just like, and I'm like, hi, a few questions for you today, ma'am. First of all, and this might be politically incorrect or whatever, I don't know voodoo, okay? So just, sorry. But the first thing I ask her, I'm like, so you do voodoo, right? And the judge is like, and she's like, I do. And I'm like, so is that why then you have garlic on the floor over there where you were sitting? And I see the judge like, he's like, what? And she's like, huh? I said, is that why? Does it pertain to voodoo that, as to why you would have garlic all over the floor underneath counsel's table? She's like, I don't know what you mean. I said, did you bring garlic and crush it in the bathroom out in the hallway? And the judge is like, she's like, no. I'm like, okay, all right. So explain to the court then why there's garlic all over the floor where you were sitting. Full bulbs of garlic. And she's like, it must have just fallen out of my purse. I brought it as a snack. And I'm like, okay. So you're telling the judge that you brought a bunch of bulbs of garlic with the skin still on in your Louis Vuitton bag to court today, right? Mm-hmm. And it's like this huge Louis bag. And I mean, I could see her spending. So she loved to spend her money on these designer bags. Go girl, but don't do it through your business and let me cross-examine you on it, but whatever. And she's like, yeah, brought it. It just must have fallen out as a snack. And I said, so you're really telling the judge that you just brought a snack of 15 bulbs of garlic and they just happened to fall out in a perfect horizontal row on the floor, perfectly horizontal, where you're sitting over there? Yes. Mm-hmm. And that woman, when I say glared at me, I have never seen someone be able to make their eyes become such small slits out of hatred in my life. And she's like, and I literally thought to myself as I'm standing up there, I'm like, she can cast any spell on me because my powers are stronger than hers. And like kept going. We had a great outcome. My client was thrilled. My client said, I think that I just paid you to teach her lawyer how to do a trial. That's what he told me. It was such a compliment. I'll never forget that. And then apparently that lady got very, very, very angry, didn't want to pay him. I don't know if she ever paid him what he was owed. I can't remember. It was like $1 million and out of the estate. And she accused him and me she said we were going to run away to a different country and me and my client were going to get married. So that is my voodoo garlic crazy, one of crazy trial stories.
Snacks.
We have other trials where I'm not even going to talk about that one. Too soon.
As soon as I said snacks, I was like, and there's a special person watching this who knows exactly what we're thinking.
Hashtag blank and snacks. That maybe we'll have you on one day and we can talk about that. My Lord. So I've also ripped my pants in court.
I remember. I think you called me from the bathroom when that happened.
No, ma'am. You know what I did? I sent you a screenshot of my booty.
Oh, that's right. Just to prove it. Like I might doubt it or something.
Okay, this will be our last story for trial story for today.
Okay.
We'll bring some more later. Okay, I'm going to trial in Fulton County, and this is it was like within my first year of being with you, probably the most precious client in the world. Love her to death. And it's actually a temporary hearing. We were going to get alimony, child support, get a parenting plan into place, and attorney's fees, all these things. I had all my exhibits, or exhibits, as I like to call them, and I'm rolling this box of huge, and that's, we could do a podcast just on the topic of how hard it is to pull all of your exhibits into court when you have to wear a skirt suit and high heels, or a pantsuit in the case of this story. So I'm like teeter-tottering in there. I got my boxes of exhibits, put them through security. They get through security. I'm picking them up off the conveyor belt thingy and sticking it back on the cart. And what do you know? As I bend over to put the last box down, my pants, they were Ann Taylor pants, which is my fave, but like I was at capacity apparently. They split perfectly up the middle. You could audibly hear it. I'm just like, it's just like, and I'm like, this isn't real. This is not real. I never even turned around to see if anyone was watching me. I don't know if anyone saw my booty when that happened, because in my mind, that didn't happen. That's one thing I'm good at. I can be very avoidant. I'm good at that. It comes in handy sometimes. And so I stand up so fast, put on my winter coat, do not even look around. I'm like, no one saw that. Go upstairs to whatever floor, find my client. Trial starts in about 15 minutes. And I'm like, what do I do? Because this was not just it was complete open. There was no behind to my pants. So,
but you took time to send me a picture.
So go upstairs, find my client, still have my coat on. I'm like, hey, how are you doing? And I'm like, okay, I'm going to use the bathroom. I'll be right back. And I'm like, oh my God. So take the coat off. I'm like assessing how bad it really is. And so then I'm like, what do I do? First things first, take a picture. I have to do that. So get my phone and, I'm in the bathroom stall and I'm just taking a picture of my behind. It is like this perfect picture of
torn pants.
Let's leave it there. I texted to you and our paralegal at the time. I'm like, this happened. I have trial. We're going into court. And in my head, I'm like, do I say I got sick and my firm can call the judge's office and say she got sick in the bathroom and has to go? I'm like, just no, I'm ready for this. So I ended up taking off my blazer, and I'm a stickler about what I wear in the courtroom. I like to wear a nice suit, whether it's a pantsuit or skirt suit, but you have to wear a jacket. You need to wear a blazer in court. And but I had to take it off that day because then I had to untuck my shirt, which was like a snake skin pattern shirt that needed to be tucked in with a blazer, but nope, had to untuck it. So it was like flowy. It looked terrible. I looked like a parachute, and then I had to kind of bend over, or curve my back, arch my back so that the shirt would cover my behind enough and kind of stand like that the whole time. And then anyway, we marched into the courtroom, did my thing. Every time I would sit down in the chair, I would just feel my bare butt in the chair. I was like, oh my God, it's like I'm naked in court. It sucks. But we won. Oh my God, we won. I remember the husband in that case was crying. Literally crying because he had to pay so much money in child support and alimony because he was capable, and attorney's fees. And I was very happy about that. I remember, well, I'm not going to tell what he used to say to her, but he used to say some ugly things to this woman that I still remember vividly. I think about it all the time. And this is years ago. And I'm like, it made me so mad that she had to live like that. So to see him crying in court, I'm like, you're crying. You deserve it. And I did it with a bare butt. So be nice to your spouse.
And scene.
Okay. So stay tuned because that's the tip of the iceberg. We've got excellent stories, and Andee and I have tried cases together, which is a hoot. So moving on, which is what you were trying to get to earlier.
Which sound doesn't seem nearly as fun.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. So we're going to talk to you about, or with you, about this concept of dating after a divorce. And we've hit on previously, dating during a divorce. So, Andee, what do you have some general thoughts about dating after a divorce? I have lots of thoughts. I'll chime in once you let us know what you're thinking.
I do. I did start down this path before. We have clients all the time who talk about, I'm never dating again, and they mean it. And it's understandable. It's a result of the trauma that they've been through and not being able to see life past divorce and a new relationship and starting over, all the things that are hard just in considering starting a new relationship. And when you do it after you've gone through a divorce, it can feel particularly monumental. But I always tell people, you say that now, but I promise you'll change your mind. But one thing we do encourage our clients to do is to talk to somebody. Start by getting some therapy because, that's not a bad word. I think in the past it's gotten a bad reputation, or it's indicative of some problem in you, and that it's the opposite of that. You want to take your best self into your future. And the way to do that is to learn about what's happened and how to manage it moving forward. So that's the place that I like to start with clients so they can move forward in a positive way.
Yes, I totally agree. I think that, so a lot of people always want to ask me, well, what's the main reason that people get divorced? And you would think I would want to say it's adultery, it's addiction, alcoholism, money. It's just we grew apart, different ideals. Whatever. No, there's actually one common variable in my experience, and that is that people they've grown in different directions and at different rates of speed most of the time. And they have unhealed, usually childhood trauma. And it could be trauma that was childhood and or probably into their young adulthood that they've never fully healed from. Or when they've healed, they're moving in a different direction than each other. A lot of times you see one spouse putting in the work, the personal work to grow and continue evolving. I think as humans, that's what we're supposed to do. We're here to evolve. And I'm pretty obsessed with that, really. I think that a marriage is the mirror image of who we are as people. And if one or both of the partners is stagnant and the other one continues to evolve and they're healing things from the past, it creates disbalance. And sometimes a relationship and a marriage is going to be not balanced at different times, and you guys got to, work together to try to continue hitting an equilibrium. Andee and I as business partners have to do that. We have to communicate very well. We have to have the tough conversations. That's a key too.
This is a marriage.
This is a marriage. It's a tight one. It's probably my only relationship in my life that our relationship has taught me more about how to date people better than any other dating relationship I've had. And you guys have to have the tough conversations. I think that people in marriages typically, I'm someone like this too. I can be very avoidant to try to keep the peace. Believe it or not, as a warrior, I like to advocate for other people. But I'm not actually a fighter at all in my personal life. I am a diplomat in my personal life, 100%. And I'm very loyal. And it's something with me and Andee. It gets very uncomfortable. You have to have the tough conversations in a marriage. And that talks about money. It's where are you at mentally, emotionally, sexually, all the things, your needs and preferences, your lifestyle, all of the things. Of course, children, if you guys don't stay checked in and stay tuned in with one another, it's where we start to see things unravel. We start to see that people have just buried so much trauma for so many years that there's just no going back. So that, I would say, the common reason why people get divorced, they grew apart because there's unhealed trauma. They're not evolving. They're not healing. And guess what? Those people, typically, the divorce isn't going to solve that. It's sad. And it's this very scary, painful feeling to have to address feelings head on. So dating, we've talked about dating during a divorce. Ooh, it's risky. And guess what? I have dated people that are in the middle of a divorce, and it was appropriate in the situation. I would never, ever be with somebody that was in, a committed relationship. Like, no, that's not part of who I am as a person, my integrity. But I have dated people that are in the middle of a divorce. So it
Clearly
happens.
separated from their spouse.
Clearly separated. They're settling their case, whatever. Well, we see some situations where our clients start dating during the divorce. We've talked a little bit about that in the past, but Andee, what do you have to say about that? What do you typically see when you see a girlfriend or boyfriend come into the picture during a divorce?
It's not unusual in my experience that the significant other, the divorced significant other, often tries to insert themselves in the divorce. They substitute their advice for our clients' legal advice. And the reality is we're all human beings, and they've got their own motives, ideas about how they want things to look, and that's going to inform the advice that they give to their new boyfriend or girlfriend. And that advice, albeit it's coming from a good place, presumably, is not always in our client's interest. They like to insert themselves sometimes as the substitute parent, which is a huge problem. They like to make demands and give advice about financial resolution of the case without regard to the law or the facts.
And these could sometimes be significant others that they've been together for a long time.
Correct.
And then their spouse has a kid with someone else, and then this significant other is getting involved. I'm talking about like starting to date during the divorce process. And when that significant other comes in, they do a bit of that too.
Mm-hmm.
And they want to become the star of the show, I feel.
Mm-hmm.
They make it about themselves. It's like they're jealous of the spouse that their person is divorcing. I've seen that.
Absolutely. We just finished up a case with those exact facts.
And
it was unpleasant.
So one thing that I see is, so just the concept of you are who you surround yourself with. That is a huge thing in my life and that we talk about in this office. I mean, humans, we are so susceptible to energies, ideas, thoughts, words. Everything that we put into our brains affects us, whether you think it does or doesn't, or whether you think it does or not. And if you're the person dating the person that's getting a divorce, you need to think about that. This person is under like the worst time of their life. They're not themselves. They have healing to do, whether they say they do or not. They have healing to do, and you are signing up for that, or else what you're signing up for is someone that's not whole, they're hurting, and you're probably signing up for a cycle of potential toxicity, both of y'all, which for the divorcee, you don't need that. You don't need to exit a marriage that probably had some turmoil in it, the stress of litigation, and then a newly toxic new relationship because that relationship was formulated while you were already kind of in a toxic state. A lot of people are going to do that because they're used to the toxicity because they had it throughout their marriage, and they probably had it throughout childhood as well. They don't know any different. So the best thing you can do is take time. And I know you've heard it before probably, and that it sounds easy, but it's not. That's what I'm talking about. Doing these hard things in life, reflecting, embracing the feeling, not the feeling of loneliness, but not being scared of it. It's important when you've been through a divorce. You need time. I'm not even talking about the importance for your children and don't expose them to so many people all at once. I'm talking about you. You have got to give yourself time to recalibrate, know what you want, and have the wherewithal and the emotional space to be a good partner for someone else, or else you're signing yourself up for continued turmoil. And a relationship has to be a really safe space. Both partners have to be able to put work in and be very aware of their emotions. I think it's like the biggest turnoff personally ever when a man does not have emotional intelligence or the ability to want to put in growth there. And not sorry, but if that's you and you don't like to get emotional or have feelings, that's a problem. You are suppressing it. And I tend to see that when someone's jumping into a new relationship in the middle of a divorce. Also, none of them ever last. I see them I have seen people get into a relationship during a divorce, and that new girlfriend or boyfriend is just, yes, I've got you, team divorce, let's go. And then the whole relationship was based on the divorce and that drama. These people were, the new relationship is feeding on that drama and this weird sense of security that this new significant other is providing. Then when the divorce is done, they're bored and they don't know what to do. I've seen them get married and get divorced.
Same.
Many times. I would say I really can't think of one case where my client went and got married right after the divorce from someone maybe one, from someone they started dating during the divorce where it worked out. I've seen them get divorced almost every time.
I know of one. I've experienced one case. So it's because what you said, though. They haven't healed the trauma of their marriage and their divorce, and they're already embarking upon a new relationship. It's a variation of avoidance, which is why having a therapist is so helpful to work through that, because one of the things that people forget that's a coping mechanism and no judgment. But, our goal, and I'm sure everyone's goal, is to move forward in a positive way. And the only way to do that is give yourself the support that you need to work through the issues. Just getting past them is not necessarily working through them. And so we surround ourselves with really capable therapeutic resources for our clients. And we always encourage our clients to get that help and support that they need so that you can move into the next chapter and maybe not repeat some of the things that happened in your marriage. Because despite the fact that one party might be extremely difficult, we all have our own hand in everything that happens. That's not a blame game. That's just one person may behave a particular way, and we might react to that in a particular way that causes it to spin out of control. And learning what our hand in is in that is incredible for moving forward and having healthy, positive relationships, because that's the only thing we can control.
Absolutely. Therapy, critical. We've talked about it in terms of you need therapy while you're going through divorce so that you can begin healing, so that you can have your wherewithal in making smart decisions in your case, so that you're not also using your attorney as a therapist and spending, we're billing you for our time with you. And whether our hearts and souls are in it or not, like you're still paying for this, emotional conversations with your lawyer. And you're going to waste a lot of time and money and make decisions that are based on emotion rather than logic, a lot of times despite what your lawyer tells you. And therapy would really help that. Could save, in some cases, hundreds of thousands of dollars if you worked on yourself during the divorce, which that's kind of not where we're at. But anyway, therapy after the divorce is also very important. And tune-ups. You need tune-ups. You don't have to be in therapy all the time. And you can date someone when you're still hurting and when you still are not. You're never going to be, oh, I'm healed. Oh, perfect. You're always going to actually probably have flashbacks forever and go back to emotional places you don't want to go back to. But it's okay. You're going to have to. There's a reason your soul's taking you back to have to revisit that emotion. But what changes over time is that you have coping skills that you've built. It's like the gym. You're just putting in reps. You're just building muscle. So your body knows what to do. Okay, when I'm feeling like this, I got to arch my back more. We're going to go back up. I know how to fix this feeling, this situation. It's like that with therapy and with these bad experiences. If you've been in an abusive relationship, mentally, physically, I have. And I go back to those places, but now have the skills to know, hey, I'm safe. I've created a safe space for myself. And I know these are the things that I need to do to be grounded. And I have to go back to have therapy tune-ups all the time. And that's very normal. I have spoken with people who think and say, I'm scared to do therapy. And it is a scary feeling. And but if you're with the right therapist, it'll start to feel refreshing. Andee and I work with a business therapist that we both talk to. Shout out Mary Pat. We love you. You have to come on here with us one day.
Because, that would be amazing.
Oh yeah. I can't wait for sure. And it's a really important part of our relationship. And it helps us be better leaders, better people in general. So it's just, if you want to sign up for a life of less drama and hopefully not another future divorce, and not be stuck in the same pattern you've probably been in since your childhood, seek the therapy, take your time, and put yourself first. Don't go jump into something just because that's what you're used to.
And date someone through all 4 seasons.
Yeah.
Trust.
Yeah. And hopefully they like dogs. If not, red flag. I think that's all we got. Is that all we got?
I think so. We have stories, but not today.
Thank you for joining us, and we will see you next time.
Take care.